model, or not even model, but action figure, if they put that on the appropriate size base and they model it close enough to the dimensions of what they're trying to have it, proxy as, then that's mostly tolerated.
Okay.
That's mostly okay. I
That game
myself,
is
Warhammer?
yeah, that game just seems so interesting to me. Like I
Yeah.
wish it were like is it ever streamed? Like I would like to watch that because I only actually know anything about it because of you because I see you tweet about it a lot
Yeah.
and talk about it a lot. And every now and then I kind of look it up and I'm like this looks really complex but like super cool.
It is really
Um,
complex, but it's fairly like, well, I just put the name of the channel in the chat for you. It's that frontline gaming_TV. And a lot of these guys in our chat probably have seen me talk about that too. I work for them. I do PR and media for them actually. Um, but if you follow my Twitter, I talk a lot about it. But those guys every Tuesday and Thursday do a broadcast of a match that lasts about 3 hours every single Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are Warhammer fans or have been curious, definitely check that out. Well, I remember what my thought was. Thank you for the distraction, Jeff.
There you go.
It someone made the comment about most of the people here watch me for StarCraft and Dota, or I mean StarCraft instead of Dota and League. Absolutely understand that, and that's why this will always remain primarily StarCraft. But as I branch out, I was thinking about it, and there have been times where for a couple weeks consistently I've had 3,000 to 5,000 viewers on the show, and I think back to Chaman's days, and for the most part he was very consistent at 3,000 views, and I imagine to some degree that was because of Steven, but that was also because of his spread across the genres, right? He'd have different guests from different areas, so he'd have the mixture of StarCraft fans, League fans. So I think for the show,
Well, the
overall,
show's established as well too. It was around for a while, and it wasn't always that way. Towards the beginning, it was a bit of a joke of a show. In fact, that was a big part of the reason why he brought Steven on, was to get the jump up in controversy, but also viewership. And Steven's a great co-host. And then it also did really well on Reddit. There's tons of upvotes for his show, so they were.
I was looking at them, and they were like 500 votes for just a show announcement. I'm like, man, I get 70, I feel good. So, yeah. But anyway, so that's that. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about was format, right? So yeah, we're talking about covering the different topics. I like this stuff. A lot of people talked about, when I had QXC and Puck on, right? And they were talking about, late game TVP, and they were going through that. I really like that stuff. That's what I wanted TLG to be in the first place. So the show isn't going to maintain a consistent format where it's always going to be, so we'll talk StarCraft for an hour, then we'll talk everything else for an hour, and then the end, right? It's going to be, maybe we'll talk StarCraft for an hour, then we'll do an hour of a show match or a replay analysis, something like that, and then we'll move on. So anyway, you can get more details. We'll stop rambling about this, and we're going to get to your questions. But thank you all again for the feedback. A lot of you took a lot of time, and I know that people always in this community, they are always saying, hey, thank you guys for this, that, and the other. But genuinely, as genuine as I can say it, thank you all for the time, and it really meant a lot, especially since a lot of you said so many good things. It was really hard to find the things I need to work on, but I appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and go through questions now. Per usual, these have not been vetted, so if I stop reading, it's because it's just something that doesn't need to be read, and I do apologize to my co-host and Wolf for that. But Wolf, all right, I'm going to put you on the spot right now, so I'm actually just going to...
Got him!
Yeah. I'm going to ask you something. Please don't be mad at me, okay?
Sure. Go for it.
Oh, wow, I just forgot her name.
Mad?
I forgot her name.
Which I didn't even know if I
You're on the spot, Wolf.
What's the girl from Pro League? I forgot her name already.
Oh, Sojong.
Okay, so...
What about Sojong? I get these questions like at least 5 times a day, so like
I know.
This isn't gonna put me on the spot at all.
Starting early for you.
So did this move, like, was it completely career related, or was there a little bit like did that move upset people, the showing her leg in the shoes?
Oh,
that was her.
I actually didn't know that's what you were gonna ask me. I had like no idea. That had nothing to do with anything at all.
It's
like
never
nothing.
a bad idea to show a woman's legs.
No, I mean, like that's the kind of move that like I could see why some people would find questionable, but it actually had absolutely nothing to do with her leaving.
Okay.
I haven't gotten that question specifically yet about this, but like no, that definitely didn't affect anything. She just left because she wanted to do some other stuff, and she had some disagreements with people in the company and decided to leave, and wasn't obligated to stay
So-
contractually, so she just left. And like her reasons and stuff, like anything more than that, like she just isn't really willing to say. I can't say much else than that because like it's really all just her personal choice. And I was in Tokyo when she decided to leave, so I didn't even know the details of it until I got back. And then everyone asked me about it like for a long time. So that's basically
Okay.
it's like beating a dead horse at this point.
No, yep.
But
That was the only thing I wondered, is if that was like, the
Sure.
Korean culture, that was unacceptable. What? Thank you for the answer. I appreciate that. Let's get into these questions now, the ones from the people that matter, the fans. Wolf, how is the SC2 popularity in Korea, and how is Brood War doing?
Okay, that's a really good question. I get asked this question every now and then, but it's always changing, like sometimes from like month to month even. The popularity of StarCraft 2 in Korea, um, like it really depends on when you say compared to what. Like when you say compared to like how many people are playing it, how many people are watching it, how many people are in the studio, like all of these things really vary. Because in Korea, like how many people you see in a studio, I'm just gonna like break the fourth wall of all Korean esports. How many people you see in a studio in Korean esports is oftentimes directly proportionate to how many events are going on at the studio where you can win things. Like, for example, the KDL, the Korean Dota League that was going on in Korea for a while. Dota 2 is not that big in Korea at all. Like, it's pretty weak. I mean, it wasn't distributed very well here, I feel, and Koreans are super into LoL, and it was just like a conflicting game. But the KDL studio was always insanely packed. Like everyone's the backs of the walls. Like people are struggling to force their way into the studio because you get like free skins if you showed up, and they would give one to every person who came. So like sometimes when you see like events doing well, you might be thinking like, "Wow, I can't believe like it's actually crazy." There's a really good scene there. It's sometimes related to the events. With StarCraft 2, it's really related to who's playing, and a lot of the fans that you see there are big fangirls, a big fan club. Sometimes you see like one girl brings 9 friends because oh my god, Zest is playing and we don't have school today and we're gonna go down and watch him play, and they all scream his name really loud. It really varies from day to day how many people you see in the studio, but um, like is the scene healthy? Is it strong? Yeah, there's a ton of fans. There's a lot of fans that you can't see, like not here, and you can't even really see them even if you go to the Pro League studio. I see sometimes people go to the Pro League studio like from they're traveling in Korea and they're like, oh, I just came to see the Pro League today, and actually there were barely anybody there. I think StarCraft's dead game and blah blah blah. But it really just depends on who's playing and are the games going to be good? Do they mean a lot, or is it the round of 32? And for people who are playing it like in PC bongs, it's doing not as well as some of the other games. I don't know what it's ranked right now. I could like look it up on my phone, but probably like towards the bottom part of top 10 in PC bongs, I would say.
So I'm saying that wrong. It's PC Bong, not PC Bang.
Yeah, it's PC bong. I mean, if you want to pronounce it in like the Korean pronunciation, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, like,
But in Japanese, it's PC bong, which is you have to say it a little bit more undulated.
yeah, sure, something like that. Like when I go to PC bong, every now and then, like I'll see like 2 guys playing 2v2s together, like sitting next to each other. I never see anyone in Korea playing 1v1s like almost ever, even if it's StarCraft 1. A ton of people play StarCraft 1 in PC bongs. Nobody plays 1v1s. People play use map settings games. People play like Zergling Bounds and like 4v4s and comp stomps and stuff like that. But yeah, okay, so I guess like before I can really, I feel like I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Like, I guess like ask me like more specifically, like as like is StarCraft 2 bigger than Brood War, or like how is StarCraft 2 compared to LoL, or
So
like,
all right, here we go. StarCraft 2. No, I won't even do that. StarCraft. Let's talk about Brood War. Is it still a relatively popular game? I mean, I know that there are still major tournaments going on. Spinu still runs Brood War tournaments. So does StarCraft Brood War have any comparable following to StarCraft 2?
So, yeah, definitely. In fact, some people would say it's like more popular. It's really close. Like there's a really hardcore StarCraft 1 scene, and a lot of it has kind of died down. A lot of those hardcore StarCraft 1 fans actually are now League of Legends fans. A lot of them are older. They don't really follow esports that much. Because StarCraft 1 is obviously a really, really old and historical game that's been, it's been going on in Korea for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see like for example, the most recent Sonic Star League Finals, the viewership was like it peaked at like 22K, I think, at the end of it, at the very end of that finals. And IU, famous singer in Korea, performed at the finals, and a lot of people came into the stream at that moment as well. There were a ton of people at the venue. You see a healthy amount of people at the StarCraft 1 venues for those Sonic Star Leagues. I haven't actually been to many of them myself, but I've seen a lot of pictures. A lot of my friends have told me about it, so I know that like it's the amount of crowd that you see, even though it's not as big of a studio as like the Pro League studio, is like comparable to the Pro League crowds. People play the game a lot. People talk about it a lot. Like when you go to like, say I'm out like just out on a night, I meet a stranger and they ask me what I do like in Korean, and I tell them I'm a StarCraft commentator. Uh, they say StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2, and I say StarCraft 2, and they always go, yeah, I don't really play that one. Like, I played StarCraft 1 when I was a kid or I was younger. So like when people think StarCraft in Korea, they definitely think StarCraft 1. They don't think StarCraft 2. But I feel like there's still definitely a big following of StarCraft 2 fans in Korea, and I feel like it's really comparable, like size wise. But StarCraft 2 is where like all the big money is at, all the sponsorship and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So hopefully that kind of answers that question for whoever asked that.
Yeah, I think that was good. Another question for you. Can you say a few words about your personal experience adapting to everyday life in Korea and the culture in Seoul? So I feel like that's been asked of a lot of people. Do you want to just give a quick rundown of just what it was like for you? Was it easy? Was it hard?
It was definitely a lot easier than I thought it would be. I guess I just to like keep this like really simple and easy. When I first moved to Korea, I lived in the Gom house, which was a house that was basically full of pro gamers and foreigners, and so everyone who had been there before me and people who came after me, we all just kind of helped each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you do this, or where do you go, and is this a normal thing to do, and teaching people how to use chopsticks. For example, some people do not know how to use chopsticks. I came to Korea with like some very basic Korean knowledge of the language, so I was able to pick up things pretty easily and start to like speak and order things and do things like that. So it was pretty easy for me to adjust that way. But people like Torch, I know it's like an old StarCraft name that might not mean that much to anybody anymore. Or Mold Trap, and Doa. Those three people like lived with me when I first got to Korea and helped me out quite a lot at adjusting. And after I lived in Korea for about 4 months, I was ready to move into my own apartment and do that. And once I was there, I felt like I pretty much just did everything on my own, solved all my problems on my own. And it was not a really hard transition, but it was seemed overwhelming at first to be in a place where like nobody around you is speaking English and you have to do everything else in a foreign language or very, very basic English. But eventually, you just kind of get the hang of it. So
Okay. Now we're going to move on to another Wolf question. I think this is going to be the Wolf interview. Are there going to be 2 more Kespa Cups this year? Because they haven't seen any announcements about them. And will there be a Hot 6 Cup on top of the Kespa Cups?
So there will be more Kespa Cups this year. I can't really reveal anything about exactly how many there will be. But I know that they are in the plannings. I know that's like that. The fact that there will be more of them has been announced. But yeah, there will definitely be at least one more Kespa Cup this year. But I would like encourage you to look forward to the possibility that there will be several. But I can't officially say exactly how many there will be until that's officially announced. What was the other question besides Kespa Cup?
Hot 6 Cup on top of the Kespa Cups.
I don't know anything about that specifically, because the Hot 6 Cup is something that obviously Hot 6 has sponsored, and Hot 6 has like a long-standing relationship with GOM TV. They've worked really, really well together in the past, and the Hot 6 has sponsored countless GSLs as well as obviously the Hot 6 Cup, and GOM TV likes to have that tournament at the end of the year towards like the off season, because there's always like a bunch of tournaments that end around October, and then there's BlizzCon, and then there's this downtime of Pro League and GSL and all that starts in January next year. So there's always usually a tournament at the end of the year. I don't think that there will be a Hot 6 Cup this year. This is all just my speculation based on my experience, simply because Spenu has taken over as the main sponsor of the GSL. But I feel like there will be something else that will take its place, a similar format. Because the Hot 6 Cup before it was the Hot 6 Cup was the Blizzard Cup. I don't know if you guys remember that from that that year-end tournament that existed before. So I would expect another Blizzard Cup type format of say sometimes it's like some odd number of players, like 12 players in the tournament, and it won't be the Hot 6 Cup, but I would definitely say I'm like 90% sure there will be a tournament like that at the end of the year.
I'm going to interject one of my questions before we go to the next question. Uh, there was a song playing for GSL a couple months ago, right? And I can't remember the name of the song, and I'm trying to Google what it was. But one line I remember was, "Did you do my wife?" Do you know
Oh,
it's
I've but people talk about this song all the time in Twitch chat, but I actually don't know the song. I don't know what it is. I'm
okay?
sorry.
Well, so my curiosity is like, is there someone that doesn't speak English that chooses the music for GSL and they don't understand like the lyrics and the meaning, or do you think that like Tasteosis or like, yeah, guys, totally put the song on. It's about kicking ass and rock and roll and fucking being the best you can, being a champion, and it's really just like, did you do my wife?
So, I can answer this question like really easily. There's a guy called BK. I think he's on Twitter at like BK Tracks or something like that. He is like the music director at GomTV, and he's been there since before I even got to Korea. And the guy does all the songs, all of the songs you see like playing before, like the zoom in where the players start, to the closing songs, the commercial songs. He does all of that stuff. Um, and he definitely his English is pretty good. I think he just, I mean, his attitude is fuck it. This is what I'm gonna put on there. It's what I like, and there's no rules. And I think like maybe he misses some subtleties of some songs, but he's like a master of music. He loves music, and he just decides what it's like. It's all up to him. He doesn't like talk to a panel of people who approve or disapprove. He doesn't talk to me. He doesn't talk to Tastos about this. He does it all on his own. It's all his doing. So
That
he's the guy.
that
Just one guy.
helps. That helps a lot. It fills in a gap because I've always wondered. You know, when I started listening to that song, I was like, okay, uh, I was curious if anyone was playing jokes on this guy, but that's good to hear that he's choosing it. He knows what's going on. He speaks English. Jeff, this isn't a question in there, but I'm also going to throw one at you. Do you think that the esports scene is solely responsible for Darude still having a career?
Solely no. I think Mr. Darude takes a little bit of credit there. That is a genuinely fucking awesome song. It just so happens that it's so awesome it became a cliche.
Yeah,
So he gets some credit, but yeah.
it's on my streaming playlist. I love it. But yeah, I don't know any other song of his except Sandstorm.
Well, he doesn't either, man.
On that note, I feel like the esports scene definitely had a huge influence on Gangnam Style getting super popular and becoming a big hit because the first time I ever saw that song, I mean, it came out that day. I didn't actually hear it that first day. I saw it because Smix tweeted it, and then I came to work at the GSTL. And everyone was playing it there, and Legend, the guy who controlled all the K-pop music videos I used to play before the GSL, was like, "We're gonna play this song on repeat this whole season before," and he just played it on repeat constantly, and everyone in esports was talking about it. It was going to the other esports scene, the League of Legends scene as well, and I feel like because of that, Korea is so central for esports. That song like kind of permeated and started to. I'm not saying esports is solely responsible. Definitely not saying that, but I feel like it definitely maybe set a wave for Gangnam Style's popularity.
I never. I wasn't in esports when Gangnam Style came out, but I learned about it through what was it called? World of Warcraft video. Panzer did a video update on some new dances that were being released for characters, and I saw that. So I guess I imagine that could have came from that because I know she did League of Legends back then. So that's pretty crazy to think about. Next one up is for Wolf. A while ago, Kespa announced a rookie league for SC2, and this person's wondering if that is still going on.
I saw that question actually, so I did some research on that. I actually don't follow like the super rookie type stuff that goes on in Korea. Sometimes there's these leagues that happen that like these BJs, which are they're called
What is a
BJs.
BJ?
Okay, so I'll tell you about BJs. There's a streaming platform called Africa TV in Korea, and they call anyone that broadcasts on it a BJ, which is like
Oh,
broadcast jockey, right? So that's what they call, which in the Western scene is kind of bit of an awkward nickname for obvious reasons. But there's a lot of scenes where like you've got these rookie players or amateur players playing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Korean commentator Gisato. He used to run his own league. There was a league called the KSL. There's a bunch of like Korean leagues that got very poor viewership. There's also an ESF like women's league. There's all these other like rookie leagues that go on in Korea that only Koreans really watch and foreigners don't know about. I don't really follow them that well because they're just not that important to me, and they're usually online tournaments. So I don't really feel like they're not that important for me to study for my casting and stuff like that. But the rookie league, according to this Korean post I just searched, looks like its finals is going to be. I just had it. It's going to be very soon. Okay, it looks like June 13th, so that's like in 2 days here in Korea. But then it says there might be plans to have them in future months as well. But the prize pool is really small, and obviously that Rookie League hasn't been broadcast at all because there's so much saturation of StarCraft on the actual broadcasting stations that broadcast it from on game net doing StarCraft One to Sport TV doing obviously Star League and Pro League, as well as doing other leagues that aren't broadcast in English. And then the same with GOM TV. GOM TV doesn't just do StarCraft; they do a ton of other leagues in Korean. So there's like no space for these stations. So I would guess that league is probably broadcasted by one of these BJs, one of these guys who's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example, like somebody like Sale, right? Who's like just like he's like the guy who rebroadcasts the Brood War streams. Like there's probably some guy who just like asks like Kespa, hey, I do these casts. Sometimes I get like 70 viewers every now and then. Like what I did when I first started commentating, just looking for anything to commentate, and people watch it there. So I don't know like what's going to happen with the rookie leagues in the future. I don't know if they're going to mean anything. I don't know if like the coaches are scouting them. They're probably hearing something about it. But the reality of StarCraft 2 right now is the scene is small enough to where new coaches, when there's a new player that suddenly comes up, there's very few of them, and everybody knows about them. And even if he's just a barcode, enough people have messaged him and found out who he really is. And it's either like he was an ex-pro, or it's like, oh, that's Slayer's Coca. Okay, he's playing a lot these days, but he doesn't have any interest in actually being a pro gamer. He's just playing StarCraft for fun.
Right.
And so like the Rookie League, I don't think is going to necessarily foster any new players, but I could see why like people might think so.
Okay. So this next question, let's see. All right, before we go to this one for Jeff, one more for you. Wolf, do you have any comments? Because there are a few comments, so I'll just kind of give us a summary from you. Any quick thought on, what is causing GOM to go for the current pay model that they are? Like ransoming the viewership. And the reason, in the way I guess I want to phrase this is, can you clarify? Is it because you guys are expensive to pay for casting, or is it because so many people use ad block? They've told you guys, hey, ad block's killing us. This is why we're doing this. Because as far as I can tell, I haven't heard any statement from or from GOM about why they've done this.
Okay, so I'll post like the official statement in the chat. Like I'll post it in the Twitch chat. I guess I'll post it in our little Skype chat as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really tell you that much. In my experience, working with Commentator, I've worked for them for so many years. Just as a freelancer, like I'm not like a salaried employee for them or anything. They were at the model of using subscription since the very beginning, and most people who've watched GSL for like the last 4.5 years, maybe even nearly 5 years at this point, the people who watched like back then knew the subscription model. The quality back then, like that you could even get on high quality at GOM, was like about the same as what you get on low on Twitch now, and like maybe slightly better. Like it was really bad, but at the time everyone was willing to pay it, right? So
Right.
if you have a company that sees that model of people willing, that you're saying like, wow, people are paying for this and it's so expensive and it's but it is a lot of content. I think this is fair, and people clearly think this is fair. It's like a market choice. Like these people are buying this still, so we're gonna do this. And I feel like with what's happening when WCS came in and they had a free stream and their subscription model had to be totally changed, and they switched to Twitch and they were no longer using the GOM player. Obviously, they lost a lot of subscription money, and they are now that they're no longer completely tied to WCS because of their own. They have their own freedom to do their basically. The Code S and the GSL is their own intellectual property at this point, basically in a sense, right? Like it's their thing, and they can do with it as they please. Blizzard's given them that right, so they tried the subscription model again. And I feel like this is based on my opinion of just watching Twitch chat, even, and seeing how many people subscribe on days when they like they unplug it and put it back on low.
Yep.
Seems to be a ton of subscriptions when they do that, and even though there's a big backlash publicly, people are happy to support the GSL and pay money. And so I feel like they're just saying, after they tried putting it back to medium, they lost a lot of money. And I think for them, just market wise, they're like, I think it's better for us to do this because enough people pay that we're actually making a significant profit off of this. The GSL doesn't need money because casters are expensive, or because like I don't know for the prize pool or things like that. It's just a big company. GOM TV is a really big company, and they have tons of employees. They have global employees that are like doing so much work, like reading Reddit, reading the feedback and stuff like that. They've got a lot of employees to pay. They've got casters to pay. They've got cameramen to pay. They've got makeup people to pay. I mean, it's a TV studio production, right? So people got to get paid, so they got to make money on the show, or there's no show. And there's like a lot of backlash about this, and I'm kind of glad this topic comes up. I'm not going to like go too long on this, um, but I personally feel that if you are in a place where you're able to stay up until, especially if you live in the States and you're staying up until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to watch the GSL, and you're not willing to pay like a little bit of money to have a higher quality, I just can't understand
Mm-hmm.
that phenomena, because you're like so hardcore, but then you like won't pay the price of like a small lunch to have it on higher quality. It's a bit strange. I feel like there's like pros and cons to this. Like, you're supporting a tournament, but at the same time, the comment that comes up most is, well, this is bad for new viewers coming into StarCraft. They come in and it looks terrible, and I can't believe that GSL would do this. But I think it's just simply like, people need to accept that if they want the GSL to continue, which clearly a lot of people love it. That's why whenever this happens, it's like the top post on every StarCraft site is, oh my god, this happened again. How can we stop it? We got to write letters. It's just like, people got to get paid if you want the GSL to exist, especially because it's now its own kind of individual thing that's not being as heavily supported by Blizzard, because that's what
Right.
that's what they wanted. That's what the GSL wanted to be, the GSL, not WCS Korea. And because WCS essentially did take like the GSL system and then spread it around, and I think a lot of people who worked hard at the GSL were saying like, Blizzard basically took this and made it theirs, and where's our cut? And then Blizzard and GOM of course come to an agreement now, and so they're just trying to have a subscription model. Like, it's kind of like the NASL back in the day. There's all these subscription models, and
Yeah.
it's, you got to pay for the show to be there, or like the show doesn't just come out of nowhere. It doesn't come from nowhere, and especially because Blizzard isn't as directly supporting it. So
Right.
I guess like that's I guess a bit of a long-winded answer, but that's the basic answer is like, people got to get paid. It's not like the we don't get, like, casters don't get any of that subscription money
Right.
directly. Like, we're not getting. It's not like Jeff's or even your subscriptions. Like that you have. Like, it's not like we're getting a cut of it or something, like with some deal with Twitch.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to say is one argument a lot of people will make is the discussion of why don't they just insert the advertisements into the broadcast. And I don't know much about broadcasting, but this is something I researched when it came up, and it is a significantly harder thing to do for this kind of demographic, especially we're international. When you don't have that targeting ad capability that Twitch gives you, that's hard for them, and they can't get anywhere near that. And as far as what you were talking about, Wolf, there are days when I'm watching videos for the show, and I have it open, and I don't close the chat bar, and I'll see like 5-10 subscriptions pop up sometimes. So I imagine that it is working for them. And my final thought on this is, I don't see an issue with us paying for content. People will bring up the example of other companies doing premium content for free, and you know what? Not every company is the same, right? And things are going to work differently. Jeff, do you have any final thoughts on that topic before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because one of the things that came up in the thread talking about this on Reddit too is like, a lot of people are like, well, if you didn't have ad block on, they wouldn't feel the need to do this. Always something that's worth bringing up. We're not going to get into an ad block discussion or conversation. Chad, I encourage you guys not to do it as well. But do think about it. For those kind of giant streams of tournaments that you are watching, if you do have ad block on, consider whitelisting them. It's a small drop in a bucket, and everyone's like, well, everyone else is doing it, and I hate commercials, and fuck Barack Obama, and all those things. That's all fine. But if you can do a small labor of love for those bigger channels, it actually does help, and it does actually contribute even just a little bit. And yes, commercials are bad, so we don't need to get in an argument about how terrible commercials are. Just consider it, because things like this are kind of a part of the future, where it's like you got to find other ways to monetize because ad rev is so unreliable.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. Next topic. Actually, Wolf, I'm gonna just drill you this whole fucking show.
That's totally fine, man.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
No, you won't. You're talking to Wolf the whole time, Lycan.
Think of me.
I quit.
That was fast. All right, so look, brother. I want to preface this in case they ever see this episode. I like Artosis. He has talked to me. We've shot the shit. We've discussed things, and he's just taken a lot of time to talk to me. Little liking, doesn't matter. And I've asked him advice, and he's spent a lot of time talking to me, and I really appreciate that. He doesn't have to do that. And then Tasteless has been very cordial when I've talked to him, so I like these guys. But there's a stigma coming up recently, and I've never heard this until recently, that there is a caliphate, a cabal that controls who can cast in Korea. Is there any truth to that? Is there, people blocking new talent, fresh faces from coming into Korea?
Um, okay, well that's like a really interesting and like somewhat dark topic. Um, but I guess I'll try to keep this as simple as possible. Obviously, nobody who has everyone has a job here casting, right? The more casters that come here, the less like jobs everybody has. Basically, the less days everyone is working. So obviously, there's some concern amongst all the casters always if someone new is going to come to Korea. But like, is there like a do we like sit around a table like a mafia or something and say like no he cannot come? Um, it's it's like kind of a weird rumor I guess. Like we're not like totally in control of that sort of stuff. I mean it's really up to the companies that hire people and what they want to do. I'm not like none of us are like Mr. Che, I'm gonna blow up your car if you don't if you hire anyone else. Like we know people. It's just realistically like all the Korean companies that have worked with us have a really good relationship with us, and they've worked with us for years. Like how many new casters have you guys seen in Korea over the past while? Like very few. Since like basically since Moltrap and Doa left, like there was Calder, he was here for a really long time. We've seen very few casters come and go. The only exception really being Whiplash and Supernova Maniac that were only there for one season of Pro League. But even that was a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
And every company, of course, is going to stick with the people they know because they know we can work with them. All of us can speak Korean to a certain extent. Some of us more than others. I'm not going to name any names, but like. So like they know that like we're gonna work with them. We're not gonna be difficult if there's any problems that come up. Like a lot of in Korea, a lot of the time, if you have say like let me try to think of like an example of this. Like say if there's some sort of like management error and somebody gets paid late or something like that, like they know we're not gonna just like tweet about it or go crazy and because a lot of people in esports, like especially personalities, sometimes get really emotional and have a history of doing that. So everyone in that the companies we work for, Spoke TV and Going TV specifically, just talking about StarCraft stuff right now. And even on GameNet that's done some StarCraft stuff in the past, knows that we're all trustworthy and that we can all work well together. And there's just no need currently to bring other casters in. And so I feel like I've definitely, I'm not going to name any names again, but I've seen a lot of people who wanted to cast Pro League or wanted to cast the GSL, or they think they're better than the casters out here. I could do it better, and some people who actually do have somewhat of a following and did try to reach out to these companies, and were just not either rejected or ignored. Often like to point fingers and make accusations as if like we've got this
Right.
this total control and we heard a rumor they were doing that and we destroyed their reputation and blocked them from coming here because just simply put like the companies probably just don't know who they are, they're just not interested, they don't need them.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a big thing to bring foreigners over there to work in Korea. It's a new environment. There's so much more to the job than just coming over and be able to cast English StarCraft, right? There's the whole adapting to the culture, and then there's working with these big organizations. So while a lot of people are going to not like that I'm, very much agreeing, with this tone, I agree. There's a lot of there's a lot more to it than just, hey, no, we don't want them there.
Yeah, I mean it's like for example, what if you bring somebody to Korea and they just like cannot stand it there. I actually thought it was gonna be fine, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so lonely." And after like 2 months, they're like, "I gotta get out of here." And they're like, "Oh God, now we gotta bring somebody else in here. We gotta get them a visa and find them a house and have somebody babysit them because they can't speak Korean and help them get their apartment and get the things they
Exactly.
need."
So
It's a huge move.
now one other thing though. So overall, right now, looking at the situation, you got Tastosis, you've got you've got you
Team
and
Salmon.
Team Salmon.
you've got you and Moonglade. So it's really the slots are filled, right? But one thing I do want to ask about is Kaldor, right? I don't know anything. Someone told me, hey, I'll tell you the story later behind the scenes, but I never got the chance to follow up with them. What happened with Kaldor getting out? Because the word on the streets is that he was pushed out of Korea. It wasn't a decision he made on his own kind of thing.
Well, Calder is someone I've worked with for many, many years, and is actually like, I think the best co-commentator I've ever worked with. Like, we had the best chemistry. I've worked with him for countless seasons of GSTL. He knew
Well, you
a
could
lot
count
about
him.
the players. Well, yeah, actually, I mean, I guess it's like maybe like probably like 9 or 10. But many
Basically
seasons.
uncountable. It's two full hands.
All right. I've worked with the guy for a really long time, and I guess this gets a bit personal, but he's told me personally for a long time that he wanted to return back to Europe. Like, Korea was not really a place he wanted to stay in long term, and many people out here actually feel that way. Not particularly commentators, but English teachers out here, for example, they end up wanting to go back home because um, in Asia in general, like say Korea, Japan, China, it's a very homogenous society, and there's some xenophobia to be had. And Calder's actually made several YouTube videos about some of the issues he's had in Korea, and some things he feels are he's been treated like badly because he's a foreigner. And I feel like basically at the time when he decided to leave was kind of towards the end of a year and at the end of a contract, as the
So
GSL was ending and
what
stuff like that.
about
So he,
China? Did something happen in China? Some
Mm,
some
I don't
event that he
know.
was casting. So the words that were used and were something about trying to go behind Tastosis' back or undercut Tastosis. And I don't know what that might have necessarily been referring to, but or I believe it might have been. Was it I am Shenzhen? Maybe I don't
What
know.
you'll learn, is you are in a position where you can ask those questions and find out. But if you're asking someone like Wolf, who worked with Kaldor or in Korea, even if he knew, he's not going to be able to answer that question. Wolf's not going to be like, "Oh yeah, Kaldor killed him in the library with the lampstand," and then all of a sudden, like, bum bum bum, and Kaldor swings in through his window and decapitates him.
This is true. All right. So either way, I don't think it sounds like there's anything nefarious going on with the situation over there.
Well, I mean, if you look at what Keller's done as well, he's completely moved out of StarCraft. He does some StarCraft shows every now and then. Does some casting. I think he did Copenhagen Games, which is something he's done for years. Like, he has a really great relationship with the Copenhagen Games people. He's the guy in Europe, right? For these sort of things, and it's now moved more from outside of the European StarCraft side of things because DreamHack has their set group of people into now Heroes of the Storm. Like
Yep.
many StarCraft pros have done, like Todd, for example, is moved into quite a bit. Obviously, Todd is not like completely out of StarCraft; he's still very much involved in that. But you look at someone like Grubby, even a personality has moved into Heroes, and he's found a lot of success with that. And Calder loves to make a lot of videos, and that's what he does. He spends so many hours casting, actually countless hours casting,
Mm-hmm.
and he stays up in the middle of the night, does that. And Calder did that when he was in
We
Korea
know
too.
with Wolf that just means 9 or 10. So I mean,
9 or 10 hours of casting StarCraft. I know you know this, Jeff. That's a lot of casting, man.
that is a lot of casting.
You get pretty tired. But yeah, he left Korea and he's moved out. And
All right.
I mean, if you guys don't believe me, I mean, I guess Jeff makes a good point. Like, even if like actually like I like cut Calder's like his foot off, and like he actually has an iron foot and nobody knows the truth, like I would never tell you.
There you go, guys. There you go. Thank you
But
for
that,
thank you
like,
for
I think it's good that there's, that people are pursuing the truth and stuff like that. But it's just I always find it funny when people are like, Jeff, I heard this thing about Huck while he was at the EG house. Can you talk about this? And I'm like, like, yeah, you guys, all right? Doesn't look like Chris is here. Nowhere he can't hear
yeah.
it. Here's totally what happened. Yeah, son of a bitch pooped and ate it all, and
What the fuck?
had sex with a dog. So
It's just like sometimes there are such transparencies to situations like this, like that are actually out and in public that like I feel like people
yeah,
sometimes expect this. Like, for example, the situation with Orb. at the EG house.
Yeah,
I just thought
yeah,
because we were thinking about EG, like that sort of thing, like comes out and it's like very public and everybody knows about it. So like sometimes when a rumor comes like this, everyone's like, we've got to hit the journalists hard. We've got to get Richard Lewis on this. But sometimes it's just actually some found this rumor that
absolutely, totally
Yeah.
agreed. When things go public, then there's no, then you discuss it, and that's when it's held. But the rumor mill stuff. If you ever ask an industry person who like has to work with these people and collects checks and like this is their livelihood, chances are on a show they're not going to answer. I heard Caldor was pushed out. Totally, he was a
Yeah.
bitch to work with. Hate the guy. Yeah,
Well, that was my I put on my Richard Lewis shoes for a second. I thought I'd dig a bit, but I feel there's nothing more for that, and I thank you, Jeff, for the good direction.
Here for.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to talk to you, Jeff. So about the EG house. No. Considering that David Kim will be in Toronto and will probably give interviews to the WCS crew, in your view, which is the best and proper way to conduct such interviews? I assume this individual is talking about, asking future questions, of David Kim, what's going to come into the game. And so I guess, speaking of grilling, would you grill David Kim?
Oh yeah, and have. I mean, David Kim is an awesomely open, very confident game developer, tester, and designer, whatever, all the above. Like in the past, there have been silly, stupid units that have come out, like the Warhound or what, and we've all been like, "Hey, what's the deal with this?" And he's like, "Oh, well, we think it's really cool. Here's the roles it fits." And we're like, "It's totally imbalanced." He's like, "Yeah, you're right, maybe." He's definitely down for a candid conversation about where the game's at right now, and talking to him about Legacy of the Void and stuff like that's gonna be really fun. Like I don't that too is not something like I feel like I need to build up and prepare for because I play Legacy of the Void almost every single day, and there's some imbalances, but actually, considering we're in closed beta and we're like I don't know, we're many moons, basically an uncountable amount of months away from when the game is launched.
Right.
I think the game's in a pretty damn good spot, and it just needs a few little twerks, and a lot of that might be the maps as well. And all of a sudden, we have a really good game on our hands. So definitely a conversation to be had, but I'm not worried about it, and I don't think anyone needs to stress about how to conduct that interview. It's just gonna be some talks.
All right, let's talk about this, right? Lycan's positive intuition is kicking in. Dr. Eromi says to Blizzard, StarCraft, they said, your little brother has a new mode. I believe Hearthstone got something new. I don't follow Hearthstone too much.
No idea.
But they got some new mode. And so Eromi says, when will you give us skins? And StarCraft responds, nice profile picture and nothing to share currently. Hope you're having a great day. Nothing to share currently. Ladies and gentlemen, Half-Life 3 confirmed. I fucking tell you. They might not have said anything about it, but we are getting skins. It's going to happen. We're probably going to get a bunch of other shit too. Jeff probably can neither confirm nor deny anything. Proxy Wolf, probably the same, right? But
yeah. I think you were actually asking me. I'm like, yeah.
I'm telling you, we're gonna get skins. We might even get voice packs, right? Can you imagine Total Biscuit telling you, "Oh, you fucking idiot"? That's not a Total Biscuit accent, but you get what I mean.
Total Biscuit impression I've heard.
He's gonna tell you you're an idiot for missing supply depots or you need more minerals. Can you imagine Total Biscuit yelling at you, or even Jeff, right? Or Steven, right? Can you imagine him going "eck"? If you click a drone and it's Steven going "eck" every time you tell it to go somewhere. I think that's fucking hilarious, and I think it's going to happen from that tweet. Jeff, thoughts?
Wow, it's true. If you say Total Biscuit's name, he fucking appears. That is crazy.
Holy shit!
It's like the Bloody Mary. Instead of saying it 7 times, you only have to say it once.
Oh, Christ.
It's worth mentioning, though, you mentioned Destiny, and not even that could wake him up at early hours of midday. Here for an hour, you idiots. I don't believe it for a second, the skin conversation comes up a lot, and actually for me it's, selfishly speaking, it's not super important to me at all, but it seems to be a fairly big selling point. Like, this is how it's talked about with a lot of people. For me, the interesting conversation, because they will do some. They already have. They did the party hats. They've done Christmas themes, stuff like that. They do have skins that you can unlock through the game, the Super Ultralisk, stuff like that. So yeah, there's going to be more of that, and Legacy of the Void will have more. Are they going to update with more? Are they going to release special editions? Are they going to have, mission weeks where if you complete certain things, you can get this new skin? I think so. What is really interesting for me is if they do a selling thing where it's not just that you get them for free or, because that's how it has been. You're not paying for these, you're just
Hmm.
doing things and getting them. If they do unlock skins, will it transform the game like CSGO was transformed when they did skins and betting? CSGO fucking blew up because when it came out, it wasn't this big, guys. It came out and it was actually kind of controversial because people thought it was a lot like Source. They didn't really enjoy it. It was harkening back to 1.6, but not fully there. But then they introduced skins, and now the game is up there with League of Legends and Dota 2 as the most watched and played game on the planet Earth. Is StarCraft 2 going to get that big of a resurgence? Is it going to be this like thing where Blizzard's like, holy shit, why haven't we been doing this the entire time? I don't know. That's interesting to me. That's really interesting to me because it'll be weird to me if the vocal community fights so hard for this and is constantly asking and constantly like, oh god, it's so stupid they don't do this, and then they give it to us, and then there's not that much. There's like 1 in 25,000 people that has well, $5 to have the flaming ultralist. That was a ridiculous price. I mean, I'd pay $3 for that, but five, like if it doesn't do that well, that's where the conversation's super interesting to me. Either side of that, if it does super mega well, and Blizzard's like, they're
Yeah.
like eating at like, oh god, like, well,
So
guess what, guys? Next week,
Well,
36 skins are available.
wasn't the origin of this topic like, if I'm not mistaken, like people just wanted the game to be free to play, and like they were
that
like,
would
well,
support the
it could
free-to-play
be
model.
either.
That was never going to happen. By the way, that was a small.
Yeah, well, of course that was never going to happen, but like I feel like a lot of people kind of latched onto that, and then they were like, well, if there's skins, because there's skins in the popular games, and so if we have skins, then our game will be the one too. But uh, yeah, I have the same like sort of feeling as you, Jeff. Is like, will there be people who are like, once it comes out, this backlash of, I can't believe Blizzard thinks we should pay $8 for that, and I won't do it, and that's ridiculous because I look at the GSL subscriptions and I see that, and
They have a good
if I were
tech.
Blizzard, I'd be terrified. Sorry.
Here's the Storm has skins, and they're pretty pricey. I know for a fact that Anna paid $20, I believe, for like a rainbow unicorn mount.
Jesus.
You know, I didn't understand, but then just a little bit. Anna's not watching the show. So, that was like, oh, it's such a dumb purchase. But then,
It's like I'm
about
buying
a month ago, I paid $120 for a Hyper Beast skin, maybe, which is a gun in CS:GO, and paying
Jesus
that kind of
Christ.
money for things that are digital seems really stupid until you do it. So
So
there's
wait,
definitely people that do pay that money and will.
do you have a nice knife in CS:GO?
I do, but I was gifted it. A guy was just a fan, and actually, really smartly, he gave me the gun, or the knife, but he named it his Twitch channel. So every time I use it, I advertise for him a little bit.
That's awesome. By
Yeah,
the way, for you CS:GO fans who don't know what the Hyper Beast is, I'm linking it in chat. But that's
it's the best looking
that's
gun
a
so far.
badass skin. I like my the one with the dragon. I can't remember what it's called, but I have
Dragon
that
lore.
one. Yeah, them
There's
four.
a couple dragon themed ones. The dragon lore is one of the most famous guns in all of CS:GO, and like a Phantom Lord just bought a Dragon Lore Op trophy, and that gun is valued. I'm pulling this number out of my butt because I'm not like an actual. This is going back to the stat conversation. You know what I said?
Yeah.
But anyways, like the gun can cost as much as like $10,000.
Jesus H Christ.
And when I say the gun, I mean a digital skin
Yeah.
you cannot physically hold inside of a game.
So, first of all, Jesus. Second of all, last thought that I have is you just mentioned the Flaming Ultralisk. You know, it would be really cool. Did you play World of Warcraft at all?
I played the beta of it for 1 week.
If the Core Hound from Molten Core, I don't know, Proxy Wolf, did you play World of Warcraft?
Only thing I know about the Core Hound is the Hearthstone card. I never
Okay.
played World of Warcraft ever. Never even installed it.
Okay. Well, either way, for those who do know, I like the idea of a giant Ultralisk that's actually a Core Hound, and that would be a badass skin. So maybe we could get some crossover with that. But I think that I feel optimistic after seeing that tweet about it. So we'll see. A little flustered after Total Biscuit's a magical appearance. It's pretty.
Oh my God, Lycan, tone it down. You just got rid of your pillow. John's a happily married man. Okay.
So, all right, enough fanboying. Let's move on with the questions. Try to wrap this section up. Let's see. That was a pretty good one. Hey, Wolf, how often do you play StarCraft 2 and what is your current rank?
No, ask Jeff a question.
Jeff, how often do you play StarCraft 2?
Ask Wolf. Ask Wolf. That's also a funny one to ask commentators though, because that's got a slight secret bar
So-
to it.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna be really honest, actually, because like normally it does, but like I actually don't really care anymore. Like
Got him.
I don't really play the game actually much at all. I think I think I played this season maybe like I want to say like 15 games or so, like very few. And I think Platinum League on Korea is where I'm at with that. But the thing is, like when you play StarCraft as little as I do, like you just kind of have to grind to get out of your MMR, and it's just like when you're grinding StarCraft and you lose to all-ins or whatever, it's frustrating. It's not that I don't enjoy the game; it's just somewhat time-consuming. And I'm studying so many other games. I'm studying for my Pro League cast. Like,
there's nothing. You don't need to make an excuse. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. That's not what I meant. You don't need to explain yourself because you don't need to be, grandmaster to be able to, you don't need to be able to perform the mechanics to understand what the mechanics are, why they work, and how the game works. I don't subscribe to the idea that if you're not GM, you're not a good caster.
I've spent many hours commentating the best players in the world. I think that like definitely helps me more than like trying to hold off like some sort of big roach push all in, 20 times a day and trying to rank up on the ladder. I think I was once like decently ranked on the Korean server in Masters, and like I've had that whole experience, and I think it's important to have that once, like at least as a caster for a period of time to like get the feeling of the game and to understand like how units fight and stuff like that. But I feel like it's not really that important anymore, as you were saying. But I only say that because I know that this is like a topic that comes up every now and then for not just me but for other casters as well. I know Tasis is getting like comments about this ever since like the very first season of the GSL. I don't think he plays the game and stuff like that. But
yeah, no, it's all good. I was actually just genuinely curious as well, so I went along with it. Well, let's see. All hail Wolf, glory to the beard. The beard is, I think, a hit, Wolf.
seems to be working out. People like it. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, what about... So, sorry. I do apologize. Someone just beeped their horn. Your co-caster, Moonglade, right? Do you get like a John Travolta Pulp Fiction kind of vibe from him when you sit next to him?
Yeah, a little bit sometimes. Definitely. He also reminds me of Jagan Hagar from Game of Thrones, the Faceless Man.
Yes.
Only just that one little like streak in his hair. I told him like he should just start commentating like a man needs a forward pylon before he Protoss push is coming. But yeah, I get that kind of vibe for sure.
Do you okay, next question. We're rushing through these, but we are going to get them all. Is there any kind of hype when foreign events come up like IEM, DreamHack, all that in the Korean scene? Do Koreans get excited about those events?
Absolutely, actually. All Koreans watch those. They stay up to the middle of the night and watch them. Every Korean pro watches those as well if they're not there. Like, it's important. It's like kind of part of their training and whatnot. I wouldn't say they watch all of it, but they definitely watch like their teammates and they watch like the finals. Everybody watches. Korean commentators also stay up and have like official broadcasts. I think Spo TV is the one that does currently the official broadcast like in Korean for some of these leagues. Like they get permission to do it and just stream it. You don't see it on Twitch because Koreans don't broadcast this kind of stuff on Twitch, but there are like oftentimes actual like TV broadcasts on these gaming stations of like IEMs, like not just for StarCraft, like for League of Legends as well. So, oftentimes like after an IEM, like I'll go into the Pro League studio and like Kanata and some of the analysts are like, "Oh my God, did you see that game? Did you watch the finals?" And Koreans do watch. And I remember the first time I was in the Glom House in Korea when I moved there about 4 years ago. There was an MLG that happened. The MLG where MMA accidentally killed his own command center that Idra GG'd. Everyone was up like late watching that game because it was on in the middle of the night here, or maybe it was like really early in the morning or something like what I'm doing right now. And everyone went crazy, and everyone was talking about it in Korea. And like all the Korean commentators and all the programmers that were in the house were like staying up all night. Everyone was like crowded around the monitor watching the MLG because everyone loves watching the foreign events, even in Korea, even though they have to stay up late. Like the hardcore fans do watch, and all the commentators and all the players super into that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. It's good to hear. And just so you all know, that was a fake Game of Thrones spoiler. The Tyrion doesn't die, but real Game of Thrones spoilers will get you permanently banned forever from liking GTV. Swear to God. But that Tyrion is still alive. I promise. Continuing on. I don't know what this means, Jeff. So if this is a troll question, I apologize. But when will you start using your little finger when you play?
I don't even know what that's. I can. I don't know.
I don't know. It's like the guy that only used his pointer finger for both mouse clicks. Maybe you just don't use your pinky. I don't know.
It might be a vague reference to a gross story I told about how Artosis uses his mouse, but that's all I got.
How
It's
does
only,
Artosis use his mouse?
well, his fucking little pinky finger dangles and like twig like twirls up into the sky. It's the most grossest thing you'll ever see in your life. That's the closest I can get. Little fingers don't come up in conversation too often for me, so
Okay.
that's all I can think of.
But you're talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Like and grope. I don't know anything about E3, upcoming games, or anything like that. Jeff, do you have anything? Do you know anything special coming up at E3?
I just know the hype is fucking real. Like they're going crazy about E3. Every company is doing these big reveals. What was the one? There's a couple I heard. I don't know. Nothing specific for me, but I'll be excited as always. E3 is funny for me because it's like I get really excited when games come out, but then I'm also sad at the same time because they're like, and it'll be we're expected to launch that game in 9 months, and it's like, well, fuck. How am I supposed to maintain an erection for 9 months? Like it doesn't really work that way. So
I think you call a doctor at that point, right?
you would have to, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Don't you think? No, I don't think. I think that's it. That is it. Holy shit, we made it. And look at that, guys. 2 hours of StarCraft 2 content. And yet we're still going to talk about another esport. Nothing to complain about right there, I think, right? Right. Cool. Anyway, Wolf, it's been great to have you on. You've been a great guest, and I hope to have you on a lot more. And so tell your other people in Korea, too, if they ever want to come on, they are also more than welcome. And I very much fully appreciate that you stayed up so late to come on. So before we take a break and switch over, you want to say anything to the people watching, where they can follow you, what's going on in your world?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say some stuff really quick. I know there's like, a bit of tension always when a commentator like takes a step away from StarCraft and starts working on other leagues. I've been working with OnGameNet on some stuff coming up in the future, and I'm working on this World of Tanks League right now as well. So I have taken a bit of a step away from StarCraft, but I do want to say that like StarCraft 2 is definitely like the most important game to me, and the game I care about the most, and the game that like got me this career in the first place. It's like how I started. That's why I'm in this call in the first place. That's why I'm here in Korea, and I make a living off of StarCraft primarily. So like don't worry that I'm like gonna vanish or disappear, because StarCraft is the game I like the most. And thanks so much for having me. You can call me anytime if Marine King doesn't see a spine crawler or something you really want to talk about that. Like I'll probably tell you like more than you want to know about what Koreans are saying about it and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, now that you said that, can you give me like 2 seconds on what do the Koreans say about it?
Like everyone is really harsh to him. Everyone's really mean about it. Like, I mean, I don't want to get like we're like on the closing here. I don't want to get too deep into it, but Kespa did like a full investigation. This is like stuff that was like posted like in Korean channels, but I guess was never really translated to the West. But like, a full Kespa investigation means they take his cell phone away, they search all of his text messages, take his computer away, search everything that's on his computer, his full hard drive and stuff like that. Like, making sure there's like no suspicious stuff going on. He's not talking to anybody, communicating to anybody about this sort of thing, checking phone call records and stuff like that.
Jesus.